in favor or vote on the computer?
I'm sorry, who gave this out?
Me,
Thank you.
this holler at me doesn't really help, does it?
Got your voice now. You've been around long enough, we know you by voice.
Make your selection.
I may have to go to, it's not
You don't
calling
have two
yet.
places to very well.
Almost. It's sticky. I don't know what's on there. That's, no.
So number I, we need to, okay, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's what I was questioning. There you go. Concerns of USD 244 patrons? No?
I'm just here to listen.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I'm the only one who's out here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
No pressure.
I don't really know.
If you sign the book, you've got to talk.
She told me I didn't have
Listen to me.
Written item, we received a thank you from Stacy Hines. Everybody got a chance to see that? Very nice.
Stacy is so nice, so positive. She really definitely appreciates things that we do and regularly sends us positive notes. I even sent her a response back thanking her for the positive note that she sent towards the board and Darla and myself. So.
Great. Moving on. Dara, you have the floor.
I just included some information about our summer programs, our 2 summer programs in my report. Definitely a thank you to you guys for, dedicating funds to those programs. The 21st Century works mostly under grant, but like you guys pay for our transportation to take great field trips and the food service. I mean, all those things just benefit kids, and so I had shared some attendance data there. I think those things are real positives that we provide in our district for our families. We have a big roster of kids on tap for preschool this year, so we have that stuff going and working on finalizing enrollment, and people are getting in the building and getting busy, so we're looking forward to a good year.
Great. Anything else for Dara? Thank you, Dora. Matt?
I would echo what Darla said. There's been several people in the building so far, decorating rooms, getting things ready. We had several teachers show up to the CLI, ELA. We had a couple teachers that didn't have to be there for their grade level, but were there. So far, I think it's going to be an excellent year. I put in the summer conditioning numbers and things like that. It continues to grow after year 2 and is going well. I happened to show up the last day when they were having fun and they were doing slipper slide stuff and things like that. And Mr. Schmidt actually did a little foot race with them, and he got second. I think he thought he was going to sweep it. Eli Thompson got him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a great year.
Great.
And we got another new student today.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
It's a plus.
A new family or town or,
Mom and son moved here.
okay.
How many new kids do you have?
We're at 16, I think now.
How many?
16, I believe. I think we're at 15 in this next 16.
How about you, Dara?
I don't know how many are new, honestly, that's not a number.
Yeah.
Keeping track. All the preschoolers are, I know, those little sounds like it's a lot, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
We've definitely made some changes, like kindergarten has picked up probably 6 or 7 that we didn't have on the list from the spring. I know we added a couple throughout the grade levels, probably not quite that many, but we have added some kids. So.
Okay, anything else for Matt?
just happening. So, getting excited, causing Christy some headaches, but, we're trying to figure it all out. Getting everybody their certifications on time, and they're finishing up. We have good people that wanna teach kids, and, KSD kind of makes it hard sometimes for those people to get in, and so, working on that, and we've worked for 2 years on those core values, and so we finalized those, and so you'll see those signs around, and what I did is take pictures that I took from like the newsletter and put them on posters around the building, so the kids see their face, and we'll interchange them through the year, and every classroom has a set, and then that goes into our restorative practices, so that, Stacy, are you being kind right now? And so it really lends to what they started with Wildcat Way. And I'm hoping to, as they get to that high school, that again is those core values, that we can just have those easy conversations. And it makes it easier also for those new teachers to know what our values are. So got this established, and I think we're, what did we say, 14 new students, but I think as you look at the numbers too, we lose some to virtual. And so some that needed to, that can get out early, start college, those type of things. Unfortunate, but again, what's best for the kids. And we actually have a student who dropped out last year and re-enrolled in another school. So they are senior and they will not be counted as a dropout. So we are excited that they are continuing there and maybe not with us. So that's positive too. And you want to say that activities?
Yeah, but just to the people that we hired, if you look at that list, the most exciting part to me is every single one of them is sponsoring or coaching something, all of them. And big roles, I mean, head wrestling coach,
Yeah.
head cheer coach, which she was already the head cheer coach, but now she's a teacher, FBLA sponsor, head volleyball, and then a two-sport coach that's a science teacher, which is huge. So all those people coming in, and a lot of them spent a lot of time this summer up here doing the summer conditioning. I want to add on what Matt said a little bit about that, because the first year with Coach Carlson kind of revamped everything. No one really knew who he was, and attendance was still pretty good. And this year, high school wise, it went way up as well, and was working, I say way up, more consistently up with the number of kids coming. 48 kids high school kids were 95% or more in attendance, and so that is impressive. And just the things they're doing out there, they're doing things like what Matt saw with having fun. I went once when they're having a golf chipping contest, but then they're also doing like everything they're doing is scientifically based, and they're seeing big improvements. So, and the kids are having fun, which is huge, and other coaches are part of it. So that was an exciting continued development this summer. If you ever see Coach Carlson this summer, by the time the middle school kids are there, he's as soaked in sweat as those kids are. Because he's running the girls session, the boys session, and then the middle school session. So it's been a good productive summer.
Great. Yes. Lindsay.
Usually what you guys want to hear from me most has to do with staffing. So from a certified standpoint, we have certified people or people who are working on their degrees in all areas. We do have Lebo Preschool as a sub for this year, but the sub that is filling in is going to school to get their early childhood. They just have a few years left, so it's kind of their grow their own, so it could be really good. Para-wise, we are still about 20 short, 15 to 20. We have made some moves, like in the Lebo district, we added a teacher, so that hopefully that can alleviate some of the pressures of being so short. We've had some apps come in here late. There's one I'm most concerned about, is Burlington High School. They're short 6 right now.
So you said you're 20, this is 24, you said 20, somewhere in that range short. How many are there total, to put that in perspective? How many spots are there?
Roughly 80.
Okay, so we're running it less than 3/4 of what we need. Okay.
And it's not uncommon to be a little short. We don't really know exactly, it depends on who comes in and who goes out. We may need more, we may need a couple less, but we try to make our, we get together at the end of the year and try to make our best educated plans moving forward. So, to get within 1 or 2 is still short, but you figure out a way. But 6 in one building is a lot.
I assume that varies from year to year based on the students that are in the district. And
The numbers do and the locations do. So it also depends on like who moves up or changes schools. But
How many are in this district? How many short?
9?
9, but 6 are at the high school.
Keep recruiting. Mr. Cooper.
We just also had a very good summer this year. Big items, the Parent Square, we've introduced that. It'll get more active as school begins, and once school begins, we'll do some additional mailings to parents to, get them to maybe consider getting the app. The app does some things that just getting it through your email does not, so it's a benefit to have the app, although you don't have to have it to receive the Parent Square messages. But just kind of more knowledge and training on that. Online enrollment was 100% online this year. I think we're sitting at about 98% of parents have actually completed it. Fewer have paid their fees, but that's a usual. I would say we're comparable with every other year with the number that have paid their fees. So, so the buildings will be working on that. And you always have some of those parents that their kids come the first day and they haven't actually enrolled, and you get them going. So that's kind of that 2% that's left.
So before that Parent Square, were you using Everbridge, is that right?
Yes.
And so the Everbridge gave the weather alerts and all that type of stuff. Does Parent Square do that?
No, so you would still want to be Everbridge through the county.
Yeah.
We had always just used Everbridge because they offered it to us, and by us having our signups, it helped their numbers as well. But we've kind of outgrown it and some of the needs, and the Parent Square is part of our website as well, that same company. And that company actually purchased Remind, which a lot of you who have had students go through school, the Remind, so Parent Square actually owns Remind now, so kind of integrating it all.
It also allows us to send out some, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some messages to more targeted groups versus having to send like to the entire class or the entire building. We can send it to more targeted bases because it's linked within our system.
And it also integrates with our Skyward, and so you don't have to count on the parent to sign up to get the notifications. Because I think every year I hear from Darla, she'd have 1 or 2 kids on the first snow day show up to school, even though we'd send out notices and actual mail, snail mail messages, and had booths set up at enrollment day and all those things, and parents still wouldn't get signed up. And so now, as long as we have their correct email address and correct phone number in Skyward, they should get all the notices.
When I signed in for Maya and got on there, it also had me as listed as a school board member, and there was some like school board link information stuff. So I don't know if, are we gonna utilize that for us? Do you want all the board members to also sign up if they don't have students?
I think it would probably be a good idea, I mean.
We can create a group,
Yes.
yeah, so.
Because it was when I went in and did that, it showed also, I had to like confirm.
Yeah, 2
as a-
different profiles, parent
Yeah.
profile, board member profile.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a good idea, because some of you may not have kids but still wanna know
Right.
what's going on. You may not have kids in the district but still wanna know.
Great,
what's going on.
yeah, well, I would get there.
Cool, sounds like we can work on that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about that one. Okay, nothing else for Craig? That Craig?
Yeah.
What about this Craig?
I sent you guys a link to a story, it was on KOM TV, and we'll go ahead and play it. It's like a 2-minute clip, and it was interesting that here they, say 3 years after we've started our early learning center, they have created theirs, And so it's kind of interesting, it's about a 2-minute clip here.
Learning the arts, nurturing, and more. Working parents in Neodesha have a brand new option for childcare with the Early Learning Center. This is KOAN News at 6. I'm Anthony Saviello. This is a live look, or that was a live look, I should say, from the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Early Learning Center's grand opening. The new Early Center will address the childcare desert in Kansas. KOAN's Melissa Alexis has more.
Kids will be able to paint and do different art activities.
Miranda Carpenter is a mom of 2 whose kids are already signed up for the new Early Learning Center in Neodesha. She says the new facility will be especially helpful for working moms like herself.
Allows me just the peace of mind to know that my kids are in a safe place and that they're well cared for, they're learning.
The new Early Learning Center also provides transportation, which will allow her to avoid leaving her job to transport her kids.
I won't have to midday they get out at 11 for pre-K, so midday, in a meeting or block out my calendar for transportation.
According to KansasActionForChildren.org, in Kansas, 72% of households depend on multiple incomes, but more than 49% of residents live in a childcare desert. The superintendent of the Early Learning Center, Juanita Erickson, looks forward to making childcare more accessible to families in the community.
It opens up lots of slots for kids here in Wilson County.
In addition to childcare, this program will provide education for early ages. The director, Caitlin Sundberg, says birth through 5 years old is a crucial time for mental development.
The little things that infants can work on, even up to toddlers, their milestones, if they're lifting their head, if they're rolling over, if they're grasping, they're very important for their developmental milestones. So even starting that young, we start to make them just perfect little humans.
The superintendent says the Early Learning Center wouldn't be possible without the grants they received. Reporting in Neodesha, Melissa Alexis, KOAN News.
Kind of makes you feel good that, we have done something 3 years in advance of what these people here in the town, very similar to ours. So anyway, makes you feel good. I have in my report with some information, and it kind of ties in. Darla mentioned the preschool kiddos. We're like at 58 kiddos right now. We've got, the Early Learning Center is somewhere in the neighborhood of 55, 56, if I remember correctly, with that 40 waiting list approximately. And then we've got a bunch of pre-K kiddos. So the chart that I shared with you guys, tried to put it, I say, as best as I could. You kind of see where we are in terms of this year. Those are the numbers on the left. The ones in parentheses were our end of the year numbers last year in May of 2024. So we've had a number of kids enroll, as you heard from the buildings, the different buildings, and that's made up our gap from, let's say, having a larger senior class leave us than a kindergarten class coming in. Our kindergarten right now, I think you said there's a few new ones that have come in, so that number may vary a little bit, and we may hopefully increases a little bit up from 42. But where we're making up ground is new kids coming into our district, scattered out throughout the different grade levels. So that's a preliminary number. We will see what happens come day 1, and that's not this Thursday, but next Thursday, and we'll see what happens come September 20th when our count date comes up. So again, first day of school for staff is August 19th. Dr. Watson will be here to give a keynote address. We will have lunch also provided to all staff, barbecue from Big B's Barbecue, Brad Scheidmeier, so you guys are more than welcome to join us if you can stop by for lunch around 11 o'clock. We'll have plenty of really good barbecue. And then first day of kids is Thursday, August 22nd, so anyway. One other item, if we could look, I don't know about calendars, maybe seeing about trying to block in some board retreats, a couple of Wednesday evenings. We've done that in the past, or if you want to try something different. I'm okay with trying something different. It's what your pleasure is. Like the
I think that
Wednesdays?
works, yeah, I think that works more so for me, I don't know, everybody else.
Okay, and again, we can look August, September. It's kind of what we've done those.
Makes no difference to me, really. I think I can be pretty much available.
September's pretty backed up. Is there
Pretty.
anyone can do it in August?
We could. We could.
Or
Does another
early
night work?
September.
Or early September.
What about, no, I'm gonna throw, what about the 28th of August and the 4th of September? I'll just throw those out for starting discussion.
Works for me.
That
Works
works.
for me.
Works for me.
Can we do that?
What are we saying yes to?
August
We aren't saying
28th and
yes yet.
September
You-
4th.
You look at your calendar.
No pressure, we all say yes.
Everyone else.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
28th, and will the 4th work also, do you think?
Who?
Yes.
Well, you know, we
It's
could,
always-
if you guys are really
We
good
run out of
students,
time.
we could maybe even do,
I would want to hold a meeting on that one, on the 4th.
What time, evening?
between, I would say, I'll have dinner 5 o'clock, 5:30 to maybe 8:30.
Yeah, I can make that. I can make one of those.
You said you have a water board meeting on the 4th.
So that's okay, you can still have it, but,
What time is your water board meeting? You said?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, the second one, we
It's
could
the
see that
second one.
early.
We could, if we can get the tours, we've done some building tours, we may not, we'll see, okay.
But you can change sleeps early.
Yeah, if he has to,
Anything
yes.
highly works.
Yeah, okay.
What time did you say?
I'll have dinner ready at 5, anytime after 5, and we'll start at 5:30.
Okay.
And if the weather's good,
If
that's right, we'll make sure. We may do an outside type meal if it's good, we've done a barbecue type style, something.
Craig, are you gonna send out an invite?
I sure will. Thank you. Okay, well, that was easy.
So I have a question. So have we been able to accept all out-of-district students that have applied that we've accepted?
Yes, I do believe we have not had any that were denied. So that it worked out kind of how we thought it was going to, but it just has been a pain to try to come up with a policy.
I only had one that applied after the window.
Did you deny them or you were able to accept them?
They didn't even talk to me, and they were accepted because we weren't at our capacity. So,
We had one after as well.
And you could accept them? Okay. So if you still have some apply, it's possible, like, you know, they don't know or something.
We did get an okay, if we still had capacity and somebody applied after the fact, we could accept them. We got the permission, just checked to make sure it was legal, and it was.
Okay.
Because we don't want to turn away students, so, and especially those that want to come here. I have contacted Cameron Roth and Tom Roberon earlier, or this past month. They haven't gotten back to me in terms of potential that land sale to the south of the high school. Still waiting on them to get back in touch with me, so hopefully they will. I'll keep you informed on that as time goes on. And then one last thing, if you would pull up, I know I shared this with you, the conceptual drawing that Clark and his crew at Gibson Mancini Carmichael Nelson came up with for the elementary school, potential elementary school, if we end up doing this project. I again shared this with Darla. She was, excited, to say the least, about the possibility. And so you can kind of see, I've shared this with you, we will get this blown up on bigger, like poster board, and for display purposes, if we go further, if you scroll down to the bigger, see the bigger, yeah, maybe for those, like the outside renderings, what this may look like. So, anyway.
I like seeing the top right of the footprint, not it on the ground. Puts it in perspective how much space there is out there.
Mhm. You look at the parking spots too, I mean, oh my gosh, yes. 153 spaces on one, 120 spaces on another.
And it matches the other buildings, it
Yeah,
just,
I appreciate that.
You got
Effort,
You got
make it
the
look like the other buildings.
yeah, it really looks,
So it's
kind
not
of
a
ties into high school.
brand new building that's, just looks a little different, I like that it's.
And anything we want to do, like for example, in the front entrance there, you see some different color tiles. Those could, like Clark said, if you just put those in, those could be all red and gray. They could be all, those are the details, the finer details.
You were gonna say that.
Yeah, so he said we can do whatever you
Not
want.
you.
So,
No, I like that.
I would say this would be a topic of ours at the board retreat that we'll continue to have discussions on and go from there. And I think that's it, unless you have anything for me, I am done.
No. Board reports, does anybody, I will tell you that I was at a Rotary meeting, this is public information, I was at a Rotary meeting last week, and a guy that came and presented, which is called SSM, which is the, part of the CHIPS plant, part of the CHIPS process. So their financing is in order, and it was never, their financing never required the government to finance any of them, so they're 100% financed privately. But they have the go, and they're gonna be starting out the airport like real soon. They thought a year ago they were gonna be real soon, but they actually have the financing in place now so that they can go. They'll start there, and they've remodeled some up Dream Homes at Levo, and so they would, be some up at Levo and some north of the airport on toward the highway. They're gonna start working on the service road. Part of their discussion was that 100%, if they can, they will use all local help. I mean, to construction and all that, they would, that is one of their priorities, that they wanna use that. Skillman Construction is gonna be doing a bunch of their dirt work stuff. You may have seen in the paper, they've already had some applications for, just a few hires. But these are gonna be pretty good paying jobs, kinda asking, well, what does, how many will he employ? And it sounded like this very first phase is just 14 people. But then that's the first shift, what we call the first shift. Second shift will be another, so there'll be about 36 people on the second shift. But he says he thought within a year and a half or something, they'd be to 3 shifts. So then I asked him, I said, so tell me what the difference is between this and what you're doing at Vito Junction. What's that doing at Vito Junction? Because they're all tied together. He said it's the same thing. So the one at Vito Junction only is government funded. And he also said, I want you to know that we are the only company, in the United States that is 100% American made. There is no foreign parts in this at all, which gives them a big leg up on government contracts, because all the government, I don't remember how it is, Buy America or something, government contract says you will use all American made products in your stuff, and if you can't, you tell us why and you can go get it somewhere else. But they think that's gonna be real handy. Where their location is at, they can, like they would share with the Vito Junction place and the airport, and they can actually drive parts to them. They make the transistors, they make all of this stuff, and so it was quite interesting. And then I asked him that I said sometime later, I'd like him maybe to come make a presentation to the school board, kind of tell us kind of what's going on. But I'd say that's the first plug that everybody's been waiting on that is going to start happening. So I don't know any more than that. If you got any questions, you got somebody else.
You done, James?
Yeah, but
I had one thing to add. I received an anonymous letter through the mail the other day that had some concerns from an anonymous writer. I just wanted to bring it up in the board meeting that I did receive it, and the letter had some concerns in it that we have dealt with in the past and have already, as a board, dealt with. So it's kind of a dated letter in some terms. But as any patron, feels like they need to get a hold of us, they're welcome to. However, everybody has a different perspective of an event or how something goes down, and usually a limited amount of information. So it was pretty evident that the writer was lacking some information, and the letter included some inaccurate information. Being on the board here, we can only discuss certain things in open session, and a lot of personnel items cannot be discussed in open session. So A lot of the things that the letter brought to light or was depicting in this person's perspective has already been dealt with. So I just wanted to bring up that the letter was brought to our attention, and some of the board members received it, some didn't, and we've already acted on a lot of it. So,
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Anybody else? Well, moving right along. Contracts, approval of appointments. So I'm gonna let Christie talk a little bit. You wanna talk about meal prices and all of that good stuff? So we had a little discussion today, and she really has a handle on all this stuff, and so didn't wanna fumble through it, so.
Sure. So in June, we proposed that I'm looking for my content, I apologize. We proposed meal prices using Price Lunch Equity Tool. We had not raised prices or done anything with the pricing from previous year until last year. And then when we did our Price Equity Tool, it had like a 78% or 70-cent hike rather, which nobody felt good. I mean, I didn't feel good about that. I mean, passing that on to patrons, I thought it was a lot. But in talking to our representative, from Child Nutrition and Wellness, our consultant, we talked through some issues. One of those issues is our participation is down. Our participation is down, and then if we made our prices what we originally wanted to do, that could exacerbate the problem. Participation could continue to drop, so on and so forth. So, but we also had to transfer money from our general fund into our food service fund last year, which we haven't had to do. So that tells us that everything's going up. Our cost of labor is going up, food prices are going up, everything's going up. And then when our participation drops, that doesn't help either.
Can you explain the participation in government funding, how that all works?
Sure. Are you referring to the community eligibility?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we lower participation is less, then we're kind of thin less, and we get paid more.
If we raise the
Yes, there it
prices, and our participation drops even more, we're kind of cutting off our noses by our face. So I asked them, just point blank, if they were us, knowing that we had to put money in from our general fund into our food service, what would you do? What would you do? And they thought, and they said, well, we raised it about 25 cents from last year to this year. But we also knew that we could continue to lose money, and we had to be able to at least figure out the budgeting for not having to draw down our, more of our general fund to put into our food service fund, or for our food service fund for operations. And so we kind of met in the middle. Since we hadn't done a hike, or any type of price increase for, from the 22-23 school year into 23-24, we opted to do like a 25-cent and 25-cent, raising the prices this year by 50%. And it's rounded where before, using that 50 cents, sorry. What did I say?
50%.
Sorry, 50 cents, yes. And rounding the numbers also for our patrons. And we'll see how that goes. And we're also looking to increase participation, using some other tools as well. And one of those is we're gonna have an efficiency study done, which is free through the state. They'll come in, they'll look at how we're purchasing our food, they'll look at waste, they'll look at quality, they'll look at what our cost is, looking at our financials and that type of thing.
Staffing, are we appropriately staffed, over, or understaffed?
Which is a bulk of our cost. The other thing we're also hearing a lot about, of course, is the community eligibility provision that a lot of schools are trying out. In the past, you had to have at least 40% of your, population be direct certified free. So direct certified is a distinction through the state. It's either food assistance, Medicaid free, foster care, temporary assistance for families, but 40% had to be eligible. This year, they decreased that to 25%. So we would qualify because we are at 32% is what I
thought it was
thought.
32.
Yeah, I think it's 32% too.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. Yes, 32.2%. So, but when you do that, 32.2% is the qualifier. However, you're not going to be reimbursed for every single meal. So I also talked to our consultant about that, and she said that when you have a low percent such as ours, you're not going to benefit from this as much as a larger school district, and she compared it to like the Wichita School District, where they have maybe a 50% or higher direct certification level. So how it works is you take our 32% and they have a multiplier that they use of a 1.6%, which gets us to about 52%, right? And that's how much you're reimbursed. So we would only be reimbursed for 52% at the free reimbursement rate for 50% of the meals that we serve. So we would still be putting in money from our general fund to support this program. So what they offered is, they showed me where they provided me a tool, and we're gonna keep track of it this year. And we will see if in fact it would benefit us. It certainly would benefit our patrons, but even still, if we can't get our participation up, it will do us no good. So, we'll look at it this year, and then maybe we budget for it next year. Maybe you all consider budgeting for it, or including that and okaying that as part of the budget next year.
So when they're talking about participation, are they looking at just lunch, or is it breakfast, lunch, and second breakfast?
No, it's no. The only reimbursable meals are your breakfast and your lunch.
Okay.
So this is our best guess, and after we do more research this year, we're gonna be very, very in tune. As you can tell, Christy's done a tremendous amount of work, kudos to her on this, and we've had discussions, as you can tell, continuing discussions, even after we approved some, we just thought, this didn't seem quite right, so we continued on with these discussions. Our best guess, and this is again, we're gonna know more after this year, but if we were to offer free meals to all of our students, we think it's gonna be, we would have to come up with over $100,000 out of our general fund to pay the difference that we'd have to come up with, we think. So that's, we're gonna see where we are after this year and determine should we be going towards the program and maybe looking, to do that. But it would be about, we think, again, we don't know for sure, but we'll know more after this year, $100,000. That would be money out of our general fund.
Have we done a survey to see why people aren't buying the lunches anymore?
We've asked building principals, we've had Amy Nelson involved with this, and we did make that change for the end of the school year with offering Uncrustables at the middle school and high school every day, as well as chicken nuggets at the elementary school. That seemed to help. Hopefully that helps our main dish. We're not preparing too many dishes.
So it was mostly selection? It was mostly what they were serving, or it was
And
price, or it was?
I think, again, selection, we want to make sure we have high-quality food as well, high-quality items. If we are preparing 2 entrees, that creates the cooks focus on 2 different entrees. If they only have 1 entree to prepare and a very high chicken nuggets, you put them in the oven. Uncrustables, you pop them out. Then hopefully that main entree is going to be even higher quality when you're only focusing on 1. So we are really, as you can tell, we're really in tune because, a basic need is being fed, not being hungry. We want kids to, to be able to have good meals, good food, and so on and so forth. So we're going to be have this as a rescind because we're gonna make some slight adjustments to the dollar amount, which will decrease the benefit to our patrons. And we just did more work on this, Christie especially, and had further discussions on this, and we feel like this is the best way to go. So,
I might just add that in the literature about the community pricing, the one part it does talk about is a school with 50% identified students would be reimbursed at the free rate of 80%. So if you have that higher rate, you're gonna be reimbursed more, which speaks towards those larger, maybe those larger school districts and so on and so forth. So 80% of the breakfast and lunches, and that's 50% times the 1.6 gets you to that 80%, and then the remaining 20% would be reimbursed at the paid rate. Paid rate is 40 cents for each one that you serve. Districts with direct certification rates between 25 and 62.5% may be required to pay from sources other than federal funds. The cost of serving breakfast and lunches that are in excess of federal assistance received, including federal cash reimbursements. So our general fund.
Did we have, with online enrollment, did we have like more or less people apply, or was it about the same for the free and reduced?
So this is just direct certification. So this would be qualifying through those.
No, but I mean, just on our online, like this year for online enrollment, isn't that where they apply, isn't that where people apply for free reduced?
They
Okay.
can apply and you can be income-based
Right,
eligible, but
Right.
direct cert is different.
right. I just didn't know, because we had talked about trying to get more people to apply to potentially raise that percentage, right, to see if they're eligible. And I didn't know if those were up or down or what.
There are more people applying, since it's built in as part of our enrollment,
Yeah,
there are more people applying. I would not say that
Okay.
more people are qualifying on income-based
Right.
than on the direct certification
okay.
piece.
but it's good that they're applying at least.
Right, I just, yeah, just to see if we're catching anybody else, right, like, if we get more to apply, then we might catch more.
And that will help with our at-risk funding, but it would not help with the community
Yeah.
eligibility.
No, I just, yeah.
So,
This is not my area of expertise, so I'm struggling a little bit with some of the language.
Okay.
When you're talking about the 32-ish% we have now and the 50% we want to, that's the percentage of people that have signed up that are using free or reduced lunch? Or is that,
No.
or that are qualified for it?
Through direct certification, we have 32.4% of our patrons that qualify for free meals through direct certification.
So it's not more people necessarily, I realize my question sounds odd. It's not more people eating in the cafeteria, it's a higher percentage of those people being on direct certified free lunch is what we are looking, would help us in this case.
Yes.
and I'd also say increased percentage of participation would be helpful. So
How does that help us?
So so with the more meals we serve, the more we get reimbursed for what's called a Class A meal. The Class A meal is the tray that you get. It has fruit, vegetable, main course, milk, you get the idea, that's the Class A meal. So we want as many people eating that Class A meal as possible. So one thing,
Yeah, it seems backwards when I first think of it.
Linking to the ratios.
sounds like, are you okay now?
Yeah, I think I'm with you, it just, it doesn't work the way it seems like it should work in my head.
So this summer, I had meetings with our food service staff. We sat around here, brought them in, fed them lunch, and we talked. How do we increase our participation? What do we need to do? Do we need to promote our meals? Do we need to get them on announcements? Do we need to do something along those lines? We talked about what are the key meals that people like. So for example, Crispitos are big. Kids love Crispitos. So we talked, so Crispitos are big. So we talked about, okay, so I'll give you an example. I went to Senor Patron today. I eat the Burlington burrito 8 times out of 10 when I go there, because I like it. Burlington burrito is my go-to meal there. So when I go there, I eat it regularly. So we talked about, we don't want to serve Crispitos like 4 days out of 5 in a week, but we don't want to serve them necessarily once a month. let's kick them up a second time, maybe a third time in a month, because if they like them and they're good, we should look to keep those key meals. Now, if those are the ones that kids eat more, then maybe we need to be thinking about scheduling them more. And so they came up with some great ideas, and we're gonna try to work on those, this year and get more kids involved in school lunches.
Sounds like the efficiency project might show some,
What we need to
some
do.
strengths and weaknesses that might be throwing some money away somewhere.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like that idea. You know, we're over here talking about how we had hamburger and french fries every day at Burlington High School. As a choice.
Yeah.
Well, have we considered,
It's not an A meal though.
have we considered asking the people who don't sign up, their reason for not signing up? I know we can't direct that at just the one group of people, but have we considered asking that question?
In terms of, I'm gonna say in terms of are you talking about the filling out the forms, if you will, the paper?
Not the financial side of it, I'm just talking about the overall participation.
We did like
That's-
that.
Yes.
That's what I was like, survey.
Yeah, not the financial part, that's not
We
appropriate.
did,
Yeah, it was talked about like last year at our site council, I mean, the quality has been a concern in my building.
Right, I understand the stigma that comes with school lunch. I mean,
Well,
it's been there for 30 years, some people
Well,
just don't like them.
You know, Crispito's one of the favorite, and I can speak for one of my own kids, absolutely loves Crispito. He's a 7th and 8th grader and he gets one. That is that's not gonna help. And so, I mean, he's to the point now, he's like, I'm not even, I'll just bring something from home.
Right.
and we have some of those regulations that we have to deal with what's on our break.
Okay, I was just curious if we had asked the question.
Great point, great comment. Yeah.
So I just kind of know the answer to this, but if we ever got to a spot where we are qualified for that program to be able to offer those meals for free, is there an option to offer only lunch for free and still charge for breakfast and second breakfast? Is there any possibility, I'm just thinking all the kids are there for lunch, so if we could
Yes.
offer free lunch, that's amazing. Whereas breakfast is maybe a little bit easier option to sometimes get at home.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I'm just thinking of a way that potentially we could offset the cost and still have free.
I would have to find that out, I do not know that.
That's
So
a
I can
really
find
good
that out.
question. We will do some
I do
checking.
know that they will allow districts to select buildings. For example, they could have a building that would benefit from that, but sometimes you run the risk.
If you're just going free in one building, you're gonna hear from parents in the other two.
So I would think that participation would be higher at the elementary school than the middle school or high school. It's a lot easier for a 16-year-old to get up and make something for lunch than it is a 7-year-old.
Or eat French food bar.
Yeah.
Yep. So you have learned a lot more about food service today than you knew before you entered the door. If you have other questions, we're gonna check on the questions. Stacy had very good questions, good comments by everyone. We feel like there's adjustments that we're gonna make this better for us after reflection and more discussions with different people and some work Christie's done and conversations that Christie and I have had, so.
Thank you, Chris. If there's no more discussion, then we'll motion to rescind the previous motion for meal prices as presented at the June 10th, 2024 Board of Education meeting.
Sorry.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Submit your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Motion to approve meal prices as presented for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, excuse me, second. Yeah.
Any discussion?
Little hiccup.
Submit your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Motion to recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss certified contracts pursuant to the exception for employer-employee negotiations under COMA, and to return to open session in this room at the end of that time, including Craig Marshall and Lindsey Brown.
discussion?
You guys are,
Mr. Bowman?
thank you, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you.
I'm just starting a quarter.
With Craig.
Because they're done.
This is all the video, like.
You can go back there with Craig, Craig's going back. Yeah, you can talk to Craig.
You can come visit with Christy and I.
Say yes. Yeah. I would
20
say
minutes
yes.
to discuss a matter pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under coma, to return into open session, and this at the end of that time to include Craig Marshall.
I'll second.
Discussion?
No, I'm waiting to vote.
Called you?
Yeah, me too, we don't wanna miss it this time. Good call.
I couldn't vote real quick there, so.
Watch it not work.
Thank you.
She doesn't, she's kosher.
Thanks, Leslie. See ya.
Thank you.
debriefing.
Not all at once, y'all.
I'm thrilled that we negotiated with teachers
Yes.
and hopefully that.
And once
High
again,
five.
I would like to compliment the negotiation team for, and other than that, we stay good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll send out a calendar.